Hi there, I'm Horser, and welcome back to Whipped Into Shape. Today we're going to be covering the wreckage of the USCSS Nostromo. Firstly, we're going to start with, of course, the interior of the Nostromo. Ash is here from the first Alien movie, so blink and you won't miss it. It's pretty obvious there. Basically, for this loop, you can hit over the entire thing, and his body is the only thing that will block you. If you are hitting above his knee, anything below his knee and you are clear, no problems there. As far as this loop, the entire thing, though it may look deceptive, you can hit over every single piece of it, no problemo whatsoever. The boxes, the pipes, the everything, your little army of Ellens will be struck by it. And this is just more of the same, just kind of telling you that there's nothing to fear here. And now for more of the long angle, just to show the entire thing can be hit over, boom, there you go. Now this bit, the little white part of it, the portion will block your whip, but this pipe on the side that's broken will not. So just, the white stuff bad, the gray and blue stuff is good. This isn't really a running theme, but right here specifically, and the thing on the right that's blocking your box will continue. Now right here, this thing in the middle, there's not really a name for it, just more debris. It can be hit over completely. Now, moving over to the side, this little thing off to the right of the main room, the two white structures on either side are something you cannot hit over. The middle is exactly as its hitbox would tell you, something you can hit over. This is mostly something you can whip drag, but it is nice to know you can hit over the middle. And this little piece of debris in the corridor, it can also be hit over. Now, moving over here to the exit of the Nostromo via the right side, you can hit over this entire thing, no problems whatsoever. You can hit over the left there, and you can hit over the middle, and you can hit over the right. No problems whatsoever. Boom! Now, this bit over on the side, they do have a little bit of a wonky hitbox due to the steel jutting out from the right there. There's not really a hitbox that you can see, but it is there. Just be careful if you're going to try to hit over this. No survivor is really going to play this, so it's not really a worry, but just make sure, just in case. Now, moving back into the middle, this box in the hallway, no problems there. Now, moving on to the pile in the hallway is where we start to get a bit freaky with the hitboxes. So there are a good number of invisible hitboxes here. I wouldn't honestly recommend trying to hit over this very often unless you really have tried this out and you know what you're doing. There's basically just a bunch of invisible stuff there, and it's usually not worth the time, honestly. Just go around it and you will be fine. This next bit in the end, there is nothing in this specific bit that you can hit over, really. Of course, you can hit over the vault as normally, but that's like expected. No one's really going to be surprised by that one. Can't hit through gaps, nothing in there. But this little bit on the side that you couldn't see from the other bit, you can hit over just fine. It is attached to the window, as you remember. And this thing over here, the wires hanging from the ceiling won't block you, so it is kinda good to hit over. Just like the taller bits on the right, you can't. So be cautious of that if you're going to be playing for that, because survivors do this gen. Now this other bit in the hallway is pretty much exactly what it looks like. The two tall bits on the side you can't hit through, and the bit in the middle you can hit through. This one is unsurprising to say the least. And that is pretty much it for the inside of the Nostromo. Now moving outside of the Nostromo to the exterior, this little bit off the side, just as a drop, you can not hit over this right rock. The left rock will be treating you a lot better, even though they're similar in size. The right rock is a little bit too tall. This one, even if they are standing directly behind it, you can't see most of their hitbox, you can still hit them. It's very nice. The other rock to the right with a pallet is a much nicer one. It is much shorter. You can be hit over it, no problems whatsoever, unless you're a survivor. As far as these go, you can hit the entire thing if you can't see them. Now, these metal bits are going to be a bit of a running theme of pain on this map. The metal triangle here is going to have a hitbox pretty much extending to the sky. It is not great. These rocks here, even though they look like you'd be able to hit through them, also incorrect. You would not be faulted for thinking that, however, because hitboxes on Nostromo are not excellent. Now, this metal triangle is going to be one we like a lot. If you see this little triangle on top here, just know that you can hit over the entire thing. It's not just like through the middle of it or anything. Like, it just doesn't have a hitbox. So this loop is fantastic for us. This is an example of a triangle thing that can be hit over. I don't know what makes this one different. It's a little bit smaller than the others, but no problem here. Now, moving on to this little spire thing, of course, you can't hit through the big rocks that are like 20 feet tall, but there's no problem hitting over the normal rocks in the middle, which, unsurprisingly, but still. Now, this little loop in the middle here, it's usually by a big wall. You can hit over the two small rocks next to the pallet, but you can't hit over the tall ones next to the pallet, because, of course, they're too big. But this little white thing from the wreckage of the Nostromo, the little console, you can hit over the entire thing. This loop here, rocks. The ones that make sense, make sense. This is a pretty reasonable loop as far as like hits go. No problems whatsoever. It's just like the tall rocks. This is probably the most like weird rock here. And like there's more over here by the hook, and you know, it's the map is a bunch of rocks, okay? Like most of the time if they make sense, they make sense. This one has two little tall rocks on top of each other, you can't hit over them. The one rocks you can hit over. Now, moving on from rocks, thankfully, we're moving to the ramp and below it. This entire thing you can hit over, no problems whatsoever. It's really nice to know this, actually. This isn't something I ever really went for. I've had maybe a couple of occasions where it would have helped, but it's not really like a loop. But it's nice to know that you can hit over, like, legitimately everything on the ramp. This entire thing, like, even though it is very clearly going to be taller than a survivor at its highest point, that doesn't matter for you because you can hit through the entire thing with zero problems whatsoever. As you can see here, I can't even see Ellen, and I hit her. Now, this thing off to the side is a bit tricky. The bit in front of you there that you can see, as well as that leftmost bit, you can hit over, but that back leftmost bit you cannot hit over. It's better when you see it from a different angle, because you can kind of hit it diagonally through this, but you can't hit over the tall bit on the left, so just be careful of that. And as for the rocks on the other side of that loop at the end of the Nostromo Ramp, you have no problems whatsoever. You can hit through this entire thing. This is similar to the Toba landing rock, not in the crouching way, but in the way where you can just like hit through them no matter what you see. This piece of wreckage off to the side, you cannot hit through whatsoever, even if you can see the survivor. This is something you have to go around, and you cannot go through. Unfortunate. This other piece of wreckage to the side, you can only hit up to like 2/3 up the little ramp thing. The wires and the like cabling is going to be your best bet. As long as you're below the first bump of the cabling near the top, you will be fine. Now, the next thing, we're back to another beautiful, beautiful triangle. Just remember these little triangles, they will be your friend. You can hit over pretty much every one of these on the map, with a couple of exceptions. We'll get to them later. Now, moving to the debris field in the middle of the map, this little rock. Wow, you can hit over it. Who would have thought? Now, this is a piece that is on the other side of the little rock. If you remember what we just learned on the previous ramp, it's about the same thing with the cabling, except this one is on fire. You cannot hit through it, but you can hit over this last half chunk of it on the right, no problems. This little piece of junk over here, you have no problems whatsoever either. There's a lot of deceptive hitboxes here, you've probably noticed by now, and this is just one of them that you can hit through. Now, these little rocks, they're not deceptive. They're very kind to us. Now, this little rock, 2 pipes, a barrel, and another piece of crap, you can hit over it, no problems whatsoever. This console, actually, we were not initially going to test, but we did end up finding out that you can hit under the sides of it. You can't hit through it, of course, but it was still nice to know that you can hit, like, around corners with this, so whip dragging is a very good option there. Now, moving to the southern debris, instead of just the debris field, we're going to be going to a beautiful triangle, where we can hit through with no problems whatsoever. Now, moving on to another little window debris here. Unfortunately, you can't hit through it. That's life. Move on. We already knew that. But this is probably the worst part in the whole map, as far as hitboxes go. It is just a rock that juts out like an extra, like, 2 feet. This doesn't look super crazy, but I promise you, like, when you're trying to whip drag this, because as what you do during corridors and hallways and survivors in tight spaces, this is going to screw you up a bit, so be very cautious of that. You can hit over the metal triangle, like on the kind of side of it, but that's not really going to be something you go for super often. It's possible when you're going into that from a different angle. Just remember the second little bit from the bottom is going to be like your cutoff point for getting a hit. Now, another metal triangle. This one is on fire. You can still hit through it, just be careful because the rock on the side and the locker that always spawns there have really bad hitboxes. So, like, while you can go for this, it's not super duper recommended. Just, like, know the tools in your arsenal. Moving to this other piece of flaming debris. This rock and this metal, it sucks completely. This rock is like 2 feet tall, and this dirt is like even shorter than that, and you can't hit over any of it. So don't go for hits here. I know it looks like you can, but it's deceptive. Now this is another really wonky hitbox, the fire with the V in the rocks. Yeah, so you can kind of hit over it. The rocks are too tall, but if you hit like through the fire, you're fine. See, I go for a rock hit there, and it's below the fire, but like when... It's odd. It really is. So if you're going for a hit here, just know you have to hit like directly in the center of the fire. The rocks will completely eat your whip. Now this other thing, another flaming, burning metal V, little triangle on the top there, you'll be fine to hit over that. Just be careful of, again, the rock. The rock will eat it. The flaming triangle will not. Now this locker, by more rocks with a little pipe, you can hit through that specific bit. It is nice to know. And like half of the middle rock I just showed you a few seconds ago, but just be careful, like make sure you hit on the left side of the rock if you're going for that hit, otherwise you won't hit it. Now moving to the Lifeboat, also known as the Narcissus, there's a lot of things in here you can't hit over. A few you can. This little console that's sticking out, you cannot hit over. The bay where Ripley woke up in, you can hit over, thankfully. This little glow stick, you cannot hit over. And then we're going to be moving outside. The metal bits are going to be a no-go for you. Don't go for this. However, survivors will be looping around this a little bit. And just so you know, the dirt you can hit over. Just the metal is going to be something you don't want to go for. This is another instance of the dirt being chill. And then we go on behind the door. And the dirt, again, is good if they were just behind the dirt. But due to the Lifeboat, it's not. Now, a special part about Nostromo. This is something that is on a couple of maps. I don't know when or if it will be fixed. But vaults currently, a lot of the time you can just crouch tech them against Nemesis. But on Nostromo, you can simply hit through them if they're crouching. This is fantastic to know, so be aware. And that is pretty much everything that you need to know about Nostromo. Alrighty, hey, thanks for watching another episode of Whipped into Shape by me, Horserer. Don't forget to do all that YouTube stuff, you know, like, comment, subscribe. And I do stream on Twitch, you know, Nemesis, 3 days a week, Tuesday to Thursday. I do my community night every Friday. So if you want to be part of the community, come on by. The next map, I don't know what it's gonna be yet. I'm thinking about doing Irie. I don't just want to say like a teaser and then like I don't do it or I don't get locked into it or whatever. But yeah, I have a map tier list coming out soon. It's gonna be over an hour and a half long, so it's gonna be like one of the long videos, you know. Trying out a new thing with that. I hope it does well. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your evening. So bye bye.